All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to tackle something that can feel, well, incredibly complex: enterprise IT infrastructure. We're going to go from a messy box of puzzle pieces to a slick, fully functional platform. And we're going to decode exactly how it all comes together with Dell VxRail. But first, let's just take a step back and ask a really basic question. Why is building and managing IT so hard? I mean, it's been a headache for IT folks forever, right? You're juggling countless different parts, different vendors, and just hoping everything plays nice together.
Okay, let's really unpack this. The old way of building an IT system was kind of like trying to build a high-performance car by ordering parts from a dozen different companies. You'd get your servers from one place, your storage from another, and all your networking gear from somewhere else entirely. The really tough part wasn't just buying it all. It was the nightmare of bolting it all together and just crossing your fingers that it would actually work. The new way we're talking about today, it's the complete opposite. It's like getting a kit where everything is already designed and guaranteed to work together straight out of the box.
And that brings us to the modern fix for this old problem: something called hyper-converged infrastructure, or HCI for short. We're going to zero in on one of the big players in this space, Dell VxRail. And to really understand how it works, we're going to follow the exact roadmap laid out in a professional deployment course. So, what is this hyper-converged infrastructure thing anyway? Well, at its heart, it's all about software. It takes all those essential pieces of a data center, the computer power, the storage for all your data, and the networking that ties it all together, and it basically fuses them into one unified system that you can manage from a single screen. This is a huge, huge shift from that old siloed way of doing things. So, the guide for our journey today is the D-VXR-DY-01 Dell VxRail Deploy course from AEDME. We're going to use its structure, its key lessons, to walk through exactly what it takes to bring one of these systems to life, from the very first idea to a fully functioning cluster. Let's start where you always should, at the beginning. Phase 1 is all about the blueprint. And honestly, just like building a house, the success of the entire project hinges on how well you plan. You get this part right, and everything that comes after gets so much easier. Now, the course breaks down this prep work into 4 absolutely critical stages, and this all happens before you even think about plugging anything in. First, you have to identify every single physical piece. Then, you meticulously plan out all the networking details, think IP addresses and things like that. Then, you use special tools to create a configuration file, that's your blueprint. And only then, once all that is done, do you actually rack up the hardware. And to show you just how detailed this planning needs to be, the course asks this really important question about DNS. Now, DNS might seem like a small technical detail. It's what translates server names into network addresses. But here, it's the absolute foundation for how everything in the cluster talks to each other. If you get it wrong, the whole automated deployment process will just fail spectacularly before it even gets started. It's a perfect example of how in this software-driven world, tiny planning details have massive consequences. Okay, our blueprint is done. Every detail is accounted for. Now we get to move on to phase 2, bringing the cluster to life. This is where the fun starts. It's the hands-on part where all that careful planning is about to pay off in a big way. This little table gives us a fantastic bird's-eye view, mapping the topics from the AA Academic course to our 3 phases. You can see how the blueprint phase covered all the planning, but right now we're focused on that middle row, the build, which is all about getting the hardware running, setting up the network, and actually deploying the cluster. So what does the build actually look like? Well, it's a checklist of very precise technical steps. You have to configure the remote access controller, what's called the iDRAC. You need to make sure the clocks on all the physical servers are perfectly in sync. You have to double and triple check all your network settings. And then, finally, you get to push the button that kicks off the automated cluster build-out. Now, at the very core of this whole process is a key piece of software called VMware vSAN. And believe me, understanding vSAN is critical. It's the software magic that looks at all the individual hard drives inside each server and pulls them together into one giant, super resilient shared storage resource for the whole cluster. This is what completely replaces that old, separate, clunky storage system. So, the cluster is built, but the job isn't over, not even close. This brings us to phase 3, life after deployment. The focus now totally shifts to managing, maintaining, and growing the system. This is what people in the industry call day 2 operations. And the course pivots right away with another fantastic question. What do you do immediately after it's deployed? This really drives home the point that the first few moments of a new system's life are absolutely critical for making sure it's healthy and ready to go. So what does life with this new system look like? Well, it's a continuous cycle. You're constantly running health checks to make sure your data is safe. You're setting up policies to control how that data is stored and protected. You're always thinking about the future, planning for upgrades or adding more capacity. And of course, you're ready to troubleshoot any issues that pop up. And more, you're looking to automate all of this. Which leads us to a really modern concept the course covers, the REST API. Now, don't let the name intimidate you. The simplest way to think about it is this. It's a way to control the entire system with code instead of clicks in a web browser. This opens the door to some incredibly powerful automation, letting you manage and grow your whole environment programmatically. This is what infrastructure as code is all about. So let's pull all this together. When you zoom out, what we've really been tracking is this fundamental shift in the entire IT industry, a move away from that painful manual assembly and toward these intelligent automated operations. And look, this isn't just theory. This piece of advice from a course reviewer named Hannah is pure gold. She says you have to do this in a lab environment first, otherwise the concepts just feel too abstract. It's an invaluable reminder that you have to get your hands dirty to really understand this stuff. And mastering this technology is no small feat. That AAADME course we've been following, it has 793 questions and answers in it. Just think about that number for a second. It gives you a real sense of the depth and detail involved in building out the future of IT. You know, this whole journey, this whole shift from manual labor to automated platforms leaves us with a really big question. As our infrastructure becomes just another piece of code and these systems get smarter and smarter, what are the skills that are going to matter most for the IT professional of tomorrow?